Well, okay. So, this happened. I don't stream very often, and I started the stream on my streaming software, and everything was going well. I was watching the chat, I was thinking, oh, people are chatting amongst themselves. I didn't start the stream on YouTube, so I've actually almost done half of the program already, but I'm gonna start it over, and I'm gonna start it over, and I actually think this is gonna be better. So hopefully we're live now. You guys can see me. Gray ended up texting Evelyn and saying stream isn't live because my phone is on Do Not Disturb. So that would make a lot of sense. But I'm glad you guys are here now. I feel a little silly, but that's okay. You know, like everything we do here in DIS, it's kind of by the seat of our pants. So this makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you for coming to the 2024 DIS graduation ceremony. This is our 4th annual ceremony. Every year we have students that go through the 2 certificate programs that I offer at DIS, and they make it to this point where they've completed the program, they've completed the final quiz, they got a blank certificate from me, and then they filled it out with the script style that they learned, the calligraphy that they learned, and they mail it back to me. And then I sign it, and I seal it, and I send it back to them, and it stays with them. And this is really reminiscent of the way that penmanship colleges used to work. People would go and they would study at one of these business schools or art schools, and they would learn a bunch of things. They would pick up a bunch of skills, and then when they would leave, they would sometimes be asked to write their own certificate. This is true for the Zinerian Art College, which is one of the big inspirations for the entirety of DIS, is the Zinerian College. And certificates are a really interesting thing in the calligraphy world. They mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. On the one hand, you know, you have national organizations, international organizations offering fellowships and certificates of excellence and all this and that. On the other hand, you have these things where you apply and, you know, watch the DVD and they send you a little thing in the mail that says you completed this training course. Well, I wanted this process to be as personal as possible. You know, it's been a dream of mine to have a brick and mortar school someday for a long time. And I really wanted DIS to eventually move in that direction. But until we get there, I wanted to do the best job that I could with the online format. And that means having good groups of classmates that become friends, like you're seeing in the chat. Good groups of friends like you're seeing in the chat. Good interactions, good critique, like good professional critiquing skills, and lots of growth and lots of improvement across the board. And I'm just so excited to be able to be here tonight to show you the work of 12 graduates who made it through that program. So as I mentioned, tonight what we're looking at are certificates of merit. You might notice that in previous years we had a thing called certificate of completion. The merit thing is a little bit of a misnomer because it's also a certificate of completion. I don't pass or fail these certificates based off of the quality of the script. And there's one really important reason for that, which is when I was first getting started, Joe Vitolo told me, let the work stand for itself. And I have tried to steer my entire career and all of my teaching in that way. Let the work stand for itself. It's important that you look at the certificates tonight and you celebrate them for their wins, for the accomplishment, for the growth, for how much that penman went through to get to this point. And then it's also important to acknowledge the faults, the things that are off center, the letters that are wobbly, the ink blobs, the scratches, all that kind of stuff. Penmanship is a really human art form, and there's a lot of value in making work that has all of these wounds and all of these errors. Not just because we get to learn how to fix them, but because it's through that process that you temper yourself as a penman and you end up being something really great that's informed by all the failures that came before. So I really want to applaud everyone that applied this year. Like I said, we have 12 graduates, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this year's program, which is going to be taking a look at their certificates on the top-down camera. You might notice in chat that Mr. Harris, Gray Harris, is here, and he is our resident moderator tonight. He's also one of the graduates. He's also my co-host on the Ink Tank podcast. So thank you, Gray, for being here and for helping out and for holding down the fort while I was 20 minutes late to my own party. But we're here and we're ready to roll, and I appreciate you guys all being here. I'm not going to have the little applause machine that I normally have because that app decided to put ads in it. So I don't want to have you have to listen to Candy Crush ads in the middle. So hopefully my wahoos and bazingas will suffice. All right. All right, we're going to begin with the engrosser's script. Specimens, and we will move through them in alphabetical order. You can totally see that I was already here throwing confetti for you guys. I was stoked for it. We're going to start with engrosser's script. So I'll kind of go through each one. I'll talk about what I like about it and what I think about that person, which it's all going to be great stuff. We had a great group of people this year. Here we go. All right. First up, we have the beautiful, the one, the only, Bryn Burns home. Woohoo! Yippee! Yahoo! Yeah! Bazinga! Wow! Great job, Bryn. Bryn is a physical therapist. She came into the program and had a lot of really nice, positive, charming things to say from the very beginning. The students, as they come into the program the first week, a lot of people introduce themselves. They talk about their background, what they're, what they're excited about, and what they're trying to pick up from the program, what they want to learn, what they want to walk away with. And I think the important thing to remember here is that people start DIS from all different points in their life. Some are literally, tonight, some are like fresh out of high school. They're young. They learned about DIS while they were in high school. And some are, in their midlife. Some are towards the end of their life. And, that comes with all sorts of different backgrounds, and, your responsibilities are different. Your study habits are different at different points in your life. And I was just so impressed and amazed by Bryn and her ability to consistently come back to the course, even having to take time away here and there. There's something to be said for the person who is tenacious and can come and pull it out at the very end and really see what they're made of. And so we have a beautiful certificate here, Bryn. I'm very proud of you. I think you should be very proud of yourself. Your work is marvelous. It will only continue to get better. Don't let this be the best script you ever write. Push yourself and continue to believe in yourself. Continue to dream, and we're all cheering for you. Thanks, Brent. Woohoo! All right. Up next, we have Victoria Dudasco. Woo! Yippee! Yahoo! You might notice something kind of unique about this certificate, and that is we have a printed signature. What is up with a printed signature? Well, Victoria had some last-minute mailing stressors that kind of put this all under the clock. And I think we just, for whatever reason, signing it skipped her mind. She was too busy working on the body. And so this is Victoria's writing. Excuse me. This is Victoria's writing. It's just printed off as a placeholder, and she'll be able to, drop the official one in there when it arrives back with her in the mail. The students every year are tasked with writing a nameplate assignment. I've probably talked about that on previous streams, or you guys have seen it on the website. Actually, we just put up the nameplates from last year that the students submitted on the website, so you can go to the masgrimes.com after this and go to the journal and take a look at some of these nameplates. But in that assignment, the students are tasked with writing their name across the top, and then they get to pick a tagline. a lot of people will pick like penman extraordinaire or ink slinger or whatnot. And Victoria just picked mom. And I thought that was so nice. It is only 3 letters, so it's also smart, but it's nice in a way that it says a lot about who Victoria is and where her values lie and what she's thinking about when she's practicing her penmanship. And I was really inspired by that and motivated to think about what I want to do with my penmanship. What is all this for? So maybe think about that tonight. But yeah, Victoria did ask, mom. I like that a lot. And we have a beautiful certificate here. So Victoria, thank you so much for all of your hard work. You've been through the program a couple of times at least, so it's nice to see you kind of cross the finish line. And I hope that you go on to do amazing things. All right. Oh, Tony. Up next, we have Tony Esposito. Woohoo! Yahoo! Yippee! Yahoo! Wahoo! What can be said about Tony? What can't be said about Tony? This is a really beautiful certificate, first of all, Tony. I want to call attention to the amazing centering. That's not easy to do. But what stands out about Tony to me isn't his beautiful writing. That's awesome. I'm very excited to know him and to get to call him a friend and to watch him continue to grow. The thing that stands out the most about me to Tony is the way that he interacts with his classmates and has historically interacted with his classmates. Tony was one of those people. He's a lighting scientist by trade, and so when he came into the course, I kind of had a expectation about what kind of person he would be, and what he is. He's a very thoughtful and articulate and considered and reasonable person that has a strong sense of self and doesn't let anything or anyone seemingly control what he chooses to think or feel or do. And I thought that was marvelous. I mean, it's not often that you come across people like that. And so in the community forum, I would see Tony chiming in on people's posts saying, hey, here's what I think about this, or here's how I would adjust this or do it differently. And there were many occasions where I came to a post that Tony had already answered that I thought to myself, well, I don't have anything to add on top of that. He kind of had it covered. And I would be remiss to not say what a sense of comfort that gave me to know that there was someone in the class that was looking out for the other students, the fellow classmates. And over time, he was so consistent with that I actually ended up asking him to be a student mentor in this year's class. So Tony is currently student mentoring the current class, which they are yet to reach this point, along with Sneha. And I've had student mentors before with Steven and Gretchen, and Sneha's been a student mentor before, and now we've got Tony. And I realized that's what's one of my favorite things about DIS is, I have the relationship with the material and with the art. I have a relationship with the students, the group of students as a class. I have a relationship with the student mentors. And there's just something about not feeling quite so alone because there are other people that are in there that are, kind of helping keep it locked down. And in Tony's and Sneha's case, contributing really thoughtful, really great additions to the discussion and to the theory and to the system. So thank you, Tony, for all of your hard work. Seriously, it means a lot to me to have you in the course and to have you take this so seriously, have done such a good job on it. And I hope that nothing but onwards and upwards for you. Thanks, man. All right. Up next, we've got Neil J. Foglio. Woohoo! Yippee! Yahoo! Whoa! Yeah! Abba-dabba-doo! Waha! Go Neil! That was not centered. There we go. All right. Another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful centering job. It is a, excuse me, it is not an easy thing to get 3 lines of script centered under something like this dreaming and script heading. It's not as straightforward as you would think, just drawing a center line and kind of crossing your fingers hoping for the best. So it's really nice to see Neil kind of come through and having taken it so seriously. The way that most students will do it is they'll write out a draft and cut it into strips, fold the strips in half and line them up to a center line, kind of scoot things back and forth in that regard. I think it really paid off here. One thing I want to call attention to is the amazing ingenuity here down here on the signature. So in the Magical N, we have this overarching hairline that ends in a ball. Over here, we call that ball a terminal. And that creates a lot of negative space underneath of it. But the J here has been shortened and recessed inside of there, kind of tucked in there, so that it can live underneath of the N. And then Foglio, the family name, can come out the far right. I think that is such a cool penman signature, and I was very impressed when I opened this up and saw it. So Neil, thank you so much for your hard work and your consideration. I hope that you had a great time in the course, and I really appreciate the note that you sent when this was delivered. That means a lot to me. And yeah, thanks for being a really great addition to the class. Good work. All right. Up next, we've got Josue Galvin. Woohoo! Wahoo! Yahoo! Wahoo! Hailing from Dallas, I believe. Dallas by way of California, I think, was the story with this fine gentleman. But that's not the story I want to tell about Josue. You might notice, I feel like from my interactions with him recently that this is an okay story to tell. Obviously, I'm not going to put a certificate up here and critique it in front of you all and say, oh, this hairline needs to be here or this stroke needs to be that way. That's not what this ceremony is about. But I feel compelled to point out that the block here is a little bit to the left and not quite centered underneath. And I think Josue will permit me to tell this story. Perfectionism is this rampant, pretty gnarly thing in the penmanship world. It really gets in the way of a lot of people enjoying their work. It gets in the way of people starting courses like Dreaming and Script. It gets in the way of people finishing courses like Dreaming and Script. It gets in the way of sending cards to friends or asking for help, or it gets in the way of all sorts of stuff. And when you do this certificate, I send the students one blank certificate, and they fill it out, and kind of whatever they do is what they send back, with very few exceptions. And so, to pen your certificate and have it be a little to the left, a lot of people might be disappointed with that. I don't expect that Josue is, and it's because of this really charming story that occurred over the last couple of days. So I pulled this out of the tube. The tittle here on certifies and the tittle down here, I think, on sections. They had been wet when it went into the tube. Those of you who are calligraphers know what that means. That's not good. Wet ink rolled up, sliding against the surface. So they smeared. Shh. And I pulled it out of the tube. We got this certificate, and it's got these two black, meteor trails, kind of, coming behind the tittles. And I thought, oh no. He must have just been excited to put it in the tube. Or something happened, maybe he got wet in transit. And I took a picture and I sent it to him. I sent him the picture and I said, Josue, what's up? These are smeared. Do you want me to try to do a correction on them? Do you want me to try to shave the smear off? Or, do you want me to leave it? And I didn't hear back for a day or so. And then I did hear back. And he said, oh, wow, okay, if you could go ahead and try to take them off, that'd be great. But if you can't, and this is the important part, if you can't, go ahead and leave them, because I kind of like that it is a little bit individualistic. I like that it gives it a little personality. And I had to stop and think about that for a minute, because my perfectionism would kick in right there. And I would go, oh no, these tittles are smeared, I really messed this up, whatever. And in that one little sentence, he reminded me that that's not what this is about, right? This isn't about having the block totally in the center, or having the ink not smeared, or making sure the signature's on it, or anything like that. This is about getting to this point and having the courage to go through it. That's such a hard thing to articulate the value of that, but I was so inspired by that, and I really, really appreciate that attitude. It is something I will probably remember for a long time. So thank you for your hard work, Josue. Thanks for being a part of the course this year, and I hope that we see more from you. All right. All right. Up next, this guy. I don't know how he managed to scrape through. It just by the hair of his teeth. It is Gray Harris. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Go Gray! WG! Woohoo! Wahoo! From North Carolina. Gray is an interesting guy. What could be said about Gray? What can't be said about Gray? Well, I met Gray online first. He had emailed me some things, asking some question. He was newer to penmanship, not totally new. Newer to penmanship, he had a question. And I said, hey, well, let's jump on a call. Let's do a video call real quick, because I'm always excited to meet new people. And I just got back from a run. I came in and I was really sweaty. I remember being really sweaty. And then I just talked about penmanship, and he talked back. And I thought, wow, that was a cool guy. That was an interesting, we had our little moment, and you guys know how it is as an adult. It's hard to make friends as an adult. And I thought, I think I kind of gel with this guy. I think I can get along with him pretty well. Well, within a couple of months, Gray goes, hey, I'm going to come visit. Would this work for you? I'm gonna fly out there from North Carolina out to Portland. I thought, oh, wow. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, come on over. And he did. And it was amazing. Since then I've had a couple other penmen come and stay, and I'd had penmen come and stay before. But Gray came, and it was like, I do have an older brother, and I have a great relationship with my older brother, but Gray feels like an older brother in a way that I haven't necessarily experienced. He's incredibly intelligent. He's incredibly consistent with the things that are important to him, whether that's, always buying the new Apple iPhone, or talking about the things like penmanship history that he's a huge fan of, the penmen that he likes, like Donor or Zahner. And his big interest was ornamental penmanship, not engrosser script. But Gray and I talk a lot about penmanship, and one of my things is I want to be an all-around penman, and so we kind of got to the conclusion eventually. It was like, well, we need to know all this stuff. So Gray said, all right, I'm going to take your class. And at this point we were working on the podcast together, so he made this open commitment to do the class this year, and everyone was asking, Gray, when are you going to take it? Well, this year he took it. And I think it was harder than he expected. I mean, we have to wait for us to do a podcast together where we really talk through what he thinks. But I think it was harder than he expected to kind of make it through to the end. And there were a couple places where I wondered, if he didn't feel an obligation to me and our friendship, if it was something that was really important to him. And every time I would go and ask him that, hey, how's it going? Or how's your work going? You're not doing this just for me, right? And he'd go, no, I really want to, learn this. And then he would text me a bunch of pictures, and I'd go, oh, that's a Grayism. Oh, you're making great progress. And he really did. I mean, he really did. He had sent me some engrosser script that he had done before the course, and it was, it was fine. He was moving along. But throughout the course, he was just total sleeper. And then he came in at the very end and kind of knocked it out of the park with this really stellar certificate. I'm very, very pleased with it. I hope you guys are too. W.G. Harris is a name to look out for, but you'll find me wherever he is, because he's the guy to be around. Love you, bud. All right. Up next, we've got Catherine Humphreys. Woo! Wahoo! Yippee! Go, Catherine! Wah! Woo! Catherine is an interesting student. The way that the courses work, they kind of roll out on a consistent basis, and then the lessons come out each week, and everyone tries to keep up with it. And then some people, they miss a week, or they get sick, or they have family in from out of town, and people start to fragment and fall apart. And every year there's a small section of students that kind of stick together till the end, and then there's a couple of students that really come in later, or come in at a strange time where they're just slightly off pace with their people. And Catherine kind of struck me like that. She was the first to complete the certificate. This was completed well in advance of this ceremony. And we had a back and forth and, chit-chatted about what her expectations were and what she had hoped to learn from the course, and whether or not she felt like she had exceeded those expectations or dreams or anything. And I'm really moved by the perspective that she has, which is that it was harder than she expected, but that she feels really confident that it's given her a good foundation to continue in her pursuit of fine script. And I really hope that she does, that you do, Catherine, because this is a marvelous certificate. And I won't talk about our private conversation, but I'll say I'm very glad that it's here tonight, and I'm very glad that you were a part of the class. Thank you for trusting everyone here to, have your back and support you, and to be fans, to champion you going forward and becoming an even more accomplished penman. I think I speak for myself and hopefully for everyone else when I say that we all believe in you. And it's great work. All right. Up next, we've got Christian Martin. Woohoo! Woohoo! Wah! Yippee! Yahoo! Wah! So, Christian is interesting. In her intro, she talked about how she had picked up calligraphy in the 3rd grade at a summer camp. And I think a lot of people have, origin stories. Everyone likes a good origin story. Where did you first hear about calligraphy? Where did you first hear about engrossed script or dreaming in script or whatever? And the 3rd grade, that's a long time ago. I mean, unless you're graduating high school, but Christian's not. The 3rd grade, I think I first learned about calligraphy in the 9th grade. And so I'm always moved by these people who have had exposure to this their whole life and have had an appreciation for it. I wonder sometimes about how rewarding it must be to get to this stage, having had to be a part of your life for so long. And I think that's what this certificate in particular means to me. It's a representation of like a lifelong vision, somewhat fulfilled, hopefully not completely fulfilled, because we do want to always continue to grow, and we don't want these certificates to be the last thing that we ever do. But I was moved by the idea of continuing for that long, to hold like a steadfast dream. And I think that's what dreaming in script is all about, right? Is like setting goals for yourself, whether they're short term or long term, and pursuing them. And hopefully you go on to do some amazing things in the future. Thanks, Christian. All right, up next we've got Paul McEnany. Woohoo! Yeah! Go Paul! Woohoo! Wahoo! Oh, Paul. Paul is a great critiquer, you guys. So Paul and I met on Reddit, of all places. Can you believe it? Reddit! Not Instagram, not in person, we met on Reddit. And I talked about something about penmanship, and he said, oh, I'm going to go check out your website. And he did. And then he emailed me, I think, and he said, hey, I'm going to sign up for your class. I'm going to do it this year. And he did. He signed up. I thought, wow. I don't normally find students on Reddit. That's kind of interesting. And he was a rank beginner. He'll tell you himself he didn't have a lot of calligraphy experience. But man, the way this guy took to script writing was like fish took to water. There were times where, because when you're giving self-critique, it's really easy to dig in on, this went wrong, or this went right, or it's easy to fixate on the technical. But the emotional discussion, to talk about how you felt about something, or the state you were in when you got to a certain part in a project, that's difficult to articulate. And Paul consistently was coming in with these shares that were just amazing. I mean, really pretty fantastic. I go back every once in a while and I look at a couple of his shares and I think, wow, this guy has got it a lot more figured out at the rate that he's at than I did when I was at his age, script age. It's a wonderful certificate. You might notice the clever superscripted C in McAnany, not here in the body, but down here on the signature. This is a point of discussion every year. You know, these names that have mix and do's and Dell. We had Edmund DeLacy a couple years ago. There are these tricky, problems to solve with engrosso script, and to have the confidence to come up with a solution and to throw it in, like what Neil did with his Madaskil J. That's inspiring to me. It's a beautiful certificate. It's well centered. The proportions are nice. Hairlines are nice. Shades are nice. Like, technically, Paul, you've come a really long way in a year, and I really hope you stick with it, man, because I want to read more about you as you continue to grow and progress. I want you to keep pushing yourself and keep investigating the inside part of script writing. A lot of people talking about the outside. It should be this or that slant or whatever, but the inside is far more interesting to me. So thank you so much for your countless shares and your openness with the community and the group. Thank you for your encouragement, for being willing to be vulnerable. That's what being a dreamer is all about, and it was a real pleasure to have you. Great job, Paul. All right, we've got one more that unfortunately isn't here. It is, one second, let me make sure I get this set up right. It is in the mail still, so I'm gonna fade to that real quick. Okay, Mwangi Nadegwa, woo! Yippee! Yahoo! Wahoo! Yeah, go Mwangi! Woo! Wahoo! Mwangi lives in Kenya. I don't know if you guys have looked at a globe recently. Kenya is a long way from Portland. A long, long way. And Mwangi is a fascinating gentleman. I would say Mwangi is a quintessential dreamer in that he's got a great sense of humor, an awesome imagination, and he consistently has shown up and tried to rally his classmates. His enthusiasm is infectious, even when he's talking about the Powerpuff Girls or making cultural references that I don't understand, and he's looking at me like, you definitely get what I'm... You get this reference, right? I'm going, no, Mwangi, I do not get this reference. But I have really been opened by experiences like working with someone like Mwangi, where his world is just quite a bit different than our world, even to the tune at the beginning of the course, getting access to a certain pens and stuff was kind of tricky for him. And his tenacity to pull through and consistently turn in homework and to participate in discussion and to I'm sorry, I'm watching the chat, and to turn up for his classmates and cheer them on, that has meant so much to me. So I'm really hoping that we get a chance to meet someday. And we did end up, talking about him on the podcast. Mwangi is known as Kenya's finest penman. We are very, very happy to have you as a part of the DIS family, and I really hope that you stick with it. Just recently Mwangi started teaching some engrosser script courses in Kenya, in Nairobi. So if you guys are ever in Nairobi and you want to, check them out, then go take a look. And yeah, it's been a great privilege to have you in class, man. And I really hope that the rest of your penmanship career is as sparkling and uptrending as this small portion has been. All right. Great job, Mwangi. All right, we've got one more. This is not a, we'll do that later. We'll do that afterwards. So next we've got the, hold on. Can you tell I'm still figuring it all out? All right. Next, we've got the French Roundhand students. So we have 2 French Roundhands to go through. The first of which is none other than resident DIS veteran and student mentor superstar, Sneha Lakotia. Woo! Yahoo! Woo! 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 Yippee! Go Sneha! Wow! Yeah! Woo! Man, Sneha. As far as student mentors go, Sneha's been with me the longest. She has stuck by me from class to class, and she has listened to me say the same thing over and over and over. And every time she pretends like it's the first time she heard it. But her script is something else, you guys. It's like, this is a fantastic example of French Roundhand, just full stop. This would make a great exemplar for anyone who's interested in learning the hand. I would highly endorse Sneha as a teacher of French Roundhand. But the thing about Sneha that sticks out to me is that in the face of adversity, Sneha continues to come back when other people might yield. So last year, Sneha was bitten by a dog in her hand, and it was pretty gnarly, and it put her off writing for a couple months, for a while. And she came back in, and she was able to, fight through. Think about that; it's pretty depressing, right? If you're really in love with writing, to have to take such a break. And she came back in, and it was like she never left. She has consistently turned out beautiful, thoughtful script with really accurate and well-detailed self-critique. She has consistently encouraged and given wonderful critique to other students, both as a student mentor and before she was a student mentor. She was doing that's just who she is. I've been privileged to call her a friend, and to have her in the DIS, on the DIS team, means a lot to me. I don't know how long I can hold on to her, because she really is going to need to open her own school or something, as accomplished as she's getting. But yeah, Sneha, thank you so much, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all of your time and effort and all of your thoughtful consideration when I've asked her questions about what should DIS become, how should it change. She has always steered me well with consideration and thoughtfulness. So thank you so much, Sneha. I'm really glad that you are here at this point, and I'm glad that you are continuing to develop. It's been really inspiring. All right. And the last one for the night is another French Roundhand certificate. This one to Sandra Wedding. Woohoo! Yippee! Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo! Yeah! Go Sandra! Woohoo! Sandra is a real friend to DIS in that she's been through, I think, all of the programs that are offered. She's done the EngrosserScript. She's a merit alum of the EngrosserScript program. So she's gone through, and she actually did this with EngrosserScript. She's taken the Offhand Flourishing course. She's taken any of the little summer schools and things like that. And she's hounding me about a business penmanship course, which I appreciate. This is a really beautiful and different way of filling this space. And that's one of the things I have noticed about Sandra over the years, is that she kind of finds a way to do it in an unconventional way. A lot of people will stick to the three, like Sneha's was the 3 lines. It's kind of the way that I set it up, is the 3 lines. But when you're writing with a big pen, like this is a slightly bigger pen than Sneha's was, then you have to make adjustments on the fly, and that's excuse me, that's what being a penman is all about. I won't even say being a dreamer. That's just what being a penman is all about. You have to adapt. You have to change, make decisions. You're always kind of trying to make things as clean and clever as possible. And I think this is a fantastic job, Sandra. Thank you so much for all of your effort through all of the DIS programs you've been a part of. It is always a pleasure to me when something new opens up and there you are. It gives me comfort to have a familiar face. And I really do believe that you will continue to grow and push yourself, and I'm rooting for you. Great job, Sandra. All right. So we have one last thing. This is not a certificate. This is a special honorable mention. So here we go. The story goes like this. The EngrosserScript course opened last year, and all the students registered. And it was open for a couple weeks, and then registration closed. And when registration closes, that means I go onto the website and I take off the registration links, so the links are no longer available. You can't purchase the class anymore. And in this specific instance, it had been a couple of weeks, and then I got an email and it said, Stephen Wilson has just enrolled in EngrosserScript. And I thought, well, that can't be. How did that occur? And so I emailed him and I said, hey, Stephen, I saw you just signed up for the course, and I just want to let you know we're several weeks into it, man. Like, I don't know if you knew that, everyone else has kind of already started. If you're looking for the cohort thing, then, this might not be a good fit this time. And he said, oh, I really didn't mean to cause any trouble. That was the first thing he said. I didn't mean to cause any trouble, which I thought was very nice of him. But I don't mind if I could sign up still, if I could still do it. That'd be okay with me if it's okay with you. And I said, well, I want to get on the phone and chit-chat with you. And I got on the phone with him, and he disclosed that he was battling cancer. And that this was kind of like, he didn't have a chance to sign up next year, basically. This would be one of the last things that he wanted to do. And I was glad we were on the phone, because I told him I felt the way about that. Like, I didn't want to take money from him if he wasn't going to really enjoy the class or anything like that. And he said, no, I want to do it. I said, okay, well, I'll be here every step of the way. Let me know if you need help or anything like that. And so, I sent him some stuff in the mail, and we kind of got going. And he was really consistent. He was showing up, and he was doing all of the things he needed to do. He was chatting with people in the community forum, and he was turning in homework and all this stuff. And he got up to the nameplate, which what you're looking here on the screen. This is his design. He got up to this point, and he had done a draft of this nameplate. And then his account went quiet. And it was a couple months, I sent an email or two or something like that, and I never heard back, and maybe he dropped off, maybe, his treatment wasn't going super well or whatnot. And then his family reached out and let me know that he had passed away. And so I went ahead and did this for him. It's in the design that he kind of picked. That S design was his. He was kind of excited about that. It's an unconventional form, so he's excited to be able to put that down. And I sent it to the family, and they said that they were appreciative, but I really do feel pretty strongly that if Stephen had been with us tonight, that he would have been a merit graduate. He talked a lot about listening to the podcast with me and Gray, and he talked about how he thought that we really should open up Presbyterian College, and that if we opened up a brick and mortar like an actual college with dorms, he would want to come and stay in the dorms. He had such a good time when he went to college, and he thought that would be really neat to come and do that with Penman. So I'll remember that for a long time, and I just wanted to make sure that I shared this tonight with you guys, because I do think that people come into DIS with all sorts of different goals. The people that are graduating tonight are just people who happen to have the goal of graduating with the certificate. There are other people that just come in wanting to learn, people that come in just wanting for a little peace of mind or something kind of cathartic to do with their time. And I think Stephen must really have valued his calligraphy practice, and that was inspiring to me. So thank you, Stephen. Here's to you, brother. All right. Whew. All right. We are back, I think, on the main camera. I want to thank you guys for hanging out tonight and for helping me celebrate the 12 individuals that we just looked at, and Stephen, our 13th. Dreaming in script has been consistently one of the greatest accomplishments of my life, and it has made such a difference to have so many special, amazing people involved with it. And every year I try really hard to make friends that I can keep for life in each class. And I hope that, graduates, I'm going to speak to you for a moment. I hope that you remember this time in Dreaming in Script fondly, and that you walk away with friendships that do serve you both in your penmanship journey and elsewhere. Don't give up, and don't let this certificate be the end of your story. Keep pushing, keep refining, always invest in yourself, always give yourself honest self-critique, always seek out good criticism from other people. Share your work wildly and courageously. Don't be afraid of looking silly. It's okay to make mistakes. That's where great penmen are made, in the mistakes. So thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I will let you guys all get on with your evening. Sorry for the delay in getting started. And I will see you guys next year with a new group of students, hopefully some new inspiring stories, and a smile on my face and warmth in my heart. Love you guys.